Mail-order bride lost at the wrong station, until a cowboy's little girl called her Mama, Part 1. The wrong arrival story, tilde 1,250 words, third person, simple English safe. The sky over Solera Ridge looked like polished copper. Two pale moons still hung in the morning light, fading slowly as the sun climbed. Wind pushed dust across the rails and made the station sign creak. Dust Haven Platform 2 ***. It was a small station on a big planet. A place where people knew each other's faces and could tell who was new from a single bootprint. That was why everyone turned when the long silver train finally sighed to a stop. Its doors opened with a soft hiss. A few workers climbed down, a crate drone floated out, and then a woman appeared in the doorway, alone. She hesitated before stepping onto the platform. Her name was Alina Ward ***, though she hadn't said it out loud in days. She held a hard case in one hand and a slim tablet in the other. The tablet showed a contract with a seal from an interplanetary agency. The kind of seal that meant paperwork was real and consequences were real too. Alina took one step, then another. Her boots hit the wooden platform with a quiet knock. She looked left, then right, searching for the sign she expected to see. Not Dust Haven. She expected *** Red Mesa Junction ***. She expected a man holding a small placard with her name on it. Maybe a bouquet if the man was the hopeful kind. Maybe nothing if he was. Instead, she found a row of crates, a sleepy station master, and a few townsfolk who stared like she had fallen from the sky. Alina swallowed, forcing herself to breathe slowly. She was not a person who panicked. She had trained herself out of that years ago. Panic made people careless. Careless people got lost for real. She walked to the station board. The letters blinked on a dusty screen. Arrivals, 0912 Dust Haven. No mention of Red Mesa Junction. No mention of the route she had paid for. Alina's fingers tightened around the handle of her case. A stocky man in a worn vest stepped forward. His hat was old, his mustache neat, and his eyes sharp. He looked like the kind of person who had measured time by train whistles his whole life. "You lookin' for someone, ma'am?" he asked. Alina tried to smile. "Yes, I'm supposed to be at Red Mesa Junction." The man's eyebrows lifted. "Red Mesa, that's 2 lines east. And 3 days if the sands are kind." Her stomach dipped. "That can't be right, I followed the route." He pointed with his chin toward her tablet. "What's the ticket say?" Alina tilted the screen. The station master leaned in, squinting. He tapped the corner of the display where the transfer information sat in small text. He murmured. "Transfer at Copper Run, then, well, I'll be. You took the *** freight connector ***, not the passenger connector. That one doesn't swing toward Red Mesa. It swings here." Alina stared at the screen. The words were clear, and they weren't what she remembered choosing. "I didn't do this," she said quietly. The station master scratched his jaw. "Sometimes the system auto-switches if there's a delay. Sometimes people press the wrong link. Sometimes it's just bad luck." Bad luck. Alina had met bad luck before, but this felt different, like someone had pushed a finger on the scale. She looked down the platform at the train that had brought her. Its doors were already closing. Cargo drones hummed. The conductor did not look her way. "Can I catch another train today?" Alina asked. The station master's face softened a little. "Today, no, Dust Haven's not a main stop. Next passenger train comes through in 8 days. 8 days. Alina's chest tightened. She did quick math without trying. She had paid most of her savings for the journey. She had enough for food, maybe, if she was careful. She did not have enough for 8 days in a town where she knew no one. A woman in a scarf whispered to another woman. A man by the crates shifted his weight, watching Alina like she might be trouble. On frontier worlds, strangers could mean opportunity or danger or both. Alina forced her shoulders straight. She could handle this. She could find work. She could sleep in the station if she had to. She would not beg, she would not break. Then a small voice cut through the quiet. "Mama!" Alina blinked. A little girl no older than 5 stood near the edge of the platform. She had dark curls and a smudge of dust on her cheek. She wore a simple dress and boots that were clearly too big for her. Behind her, a tin lunch pail swung from one hand. The girl stared at Alina like she was seeing something important. Before Alina could speak, the child ran forward and wrapped both arms around Alina's legs. "Mama," the girl said again, softer this time, as if the word was precious. Alina froze. She had never been called that, not by anyone, not even as a joke. The station went silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Alina looked down slowly. The girl was trembling like she had been holding onto the hope of that word for a long time. Alina's first instinct was to step back, because surprises were dangerous. But the child's grip was strong, and her small shoulders shook. Alina could feel the child's heartbeat through the fabric. Alina lowered herself carefully, bending at the knees. "Hey," she said gently, "I'm not." A man's voice came from behind. "Myra," boots hit the boards fast. A tall cowboy crossed the platform in long strides, his coat dusted with red sand. He had a rugged face, dark stubble, and eyes that looked tired in a quiet way. A holster rested at his side, not flashy, not threatening, just part of life out here. He crouched quickly. "Myra, sweetheart, no, not again." The girl looked up at him, confused. Then she clung tighter to Alina's legs as if afraid he might pull her away. The cowboy's jaw tightened, but his hands were gentle. "I'm sorry," he said to Alina, voice low and steady. "She does this sometimes." Alina searched his face. "She thinks I'm her mother." The cowboy's eyes flickered like the question touched something sore. "Her mother passed 2 years back." He swallowed once. "Myra remembers her in pieces. Sometimes she sees someone who matches a memory in her head, and she—" "Mama," Myra whispered again, almost pleading. Alina's throat felt tight. She glanced at the station master, expecting him to step in, but he only watched with a kind of sad understanding. Alina slowly raised her hand and touched Myra's hair. It was soft under her fingers. The girl's shoulders relaxed a little. Alina spoke carefully in simple words. "Hi, Myra, I'm Alina." Myra didn't answer. She only pressed her cheek against Alina's leg as if she had finally found the safest place in the world. The cowboy exhaled, and Alina noticed the way he held himself, like someone who carried responsibility all day and couldn't put it down. "What's your name?" Alina asked him. He hesitated. "Jace Holloway." Jace tried again to coax Myra away. "Sweetheart, come on, let go." Myra shook her head fiercely. Alina looked at the contract tablet in her hand. The digital seal glowed softly. It felt suddenly foolish, like a cold thing compared to the warm weight of a child's trust. Jace followed her gaze. "You're a mail-order bride?" he asked, surprised but not rude. Alina nodded once. "I was." That answer made her feel strange. Because it was true and not true at the same time, Jace's eyebrows lifted. "Was. I'm supposed to be somewhere else," Alina said. "I got off at the wrong station." The station master made a sound like he had heard the word wrong too many times in his life. 8 days, he reminded her. "That's the next passenger run." Alina's stomach tightened again. Jace stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked down at Myra, then back up at Alina. "My place is outside town," he said. "Ranch, not fancy." Alina's eyes narrowed slightly. She didn't want charity, she didn't want trouble. But the sun was already climbing, and the dust wind would get colder at night. Jace continued, voice careful. "Myra doesn't have a lot of steady things. If you don't mind, you could stay in our spare room until your train comes. You'd have a roof, food, no strings." "No strings," Alina repeated quietly. Jace lifted a hand. "You can say no, I won't be offended." Alina looked down at Myra. The girl was still holding on, like the platform itself might disappear. Alina thought of sleeping on the station bench, thought of strangers watching her every move, thought of 8 days with nowhere safe to put her case, nowhere safe to rest. And she thought of the way Myra said the word mama, not as a demand, but as a hope. Alina nodded once. "All right," she said, "just until the next train." Jace's shoulders loosened a fraction, like he had been holding his breath. "Thank you." He stood and offered a hand to Myra. "Come on, little star, let's go home." Myra didn't let go of Alina right away. But after Alina gently touched her shoulder and whispered, "I'm coming," Myra finally released her grip, only to grab Alina's hand instead. The walk to Jace's transport was short. His vehicle looked like an old Western wagon at first glance, but it hovered a few inches above the ground. Metal panels were worn. The engine hummed softly. Alina climbed in, keeping her case close. Myra climbed beside her, proud like she had won something. As they left the station, Dust Haven shrank behind them. Red sand stretched out like an ocean. Far away, steel windmills turned beside solar arrays, and long fences glinted under the sun. Jace guided the hover wagon along a trail between stone ridges. He didn't talk much. He watched the land like it could change at any moment. Alina noticed that. People who watched the land like that had learned to expect trouble. She also noticed something else. Above the distant hills, a small drone hovered for a moment. too far to see clearly but close enough to catch a sparkle in the light. It moved as if scanning, slow and patient. Elena kept her face calm, but her fingers tightened around the handle of her case. The drone drifted away. Myra leaned against Elena's side and sighed, content like she had been carrying a lonely weight, and finally set it down. Elena stared ahead at the road leading to Jace's ranch. She told herself this was just a mistake, a delay, a temporary stop. But deep inside, a quiet warning stirred, an old instinct she had tried to bury, because some mistakes were not accidents, and some wrong stations were chosen by someone else. The ranch stood alone against the wide red plains of Solera Ridge. From a distance it looked old and quiet, like something from another time. Wooden fences crossed the land in long straight lines, but between them small metal towers blinked with soft blue lights. Windmills turned slowly beside solar panels, mixing old Western life with new technology. Elena watched carefully as Jace guided the hover wagon toward the main house. The building was simple, wide porch, slanted roof, and tall windows facing the sunrise. A barn stood nearby, half steel and half weathered wood. A few robotic cattle grazed alongside real animals, moving slowly under the warm sky. Myra jumped down before the vehicle stopped fully. She ran ahead, shouting happily. "We're home!" Elena followed more slowly. Her eyes moved across everything, the land, the machines, the quiet space between sounds. She noticed how peaceful it looked, but she also noticed the security cameras hidden in corners. Someone here expected trouble sometimes. Jace lifted her case from the wagon. "It's not much," he said, almost apologetic. "But it's clean." "It's good," Elena answered softly. Inside, the house smelled of fresh bread and dust. The furniture was simple but cared for. A small kitchen stood open to the living area, and toys lay near a soft rug where Myra clearly spent time playing. Elena paused near a wall where a framed picture hung. It showed Jace, younger and smiling, with a woman beside him and a baby in his arms. The woman had kind eyes and dark hair. Elena understood immediately Myra's mother. Jace noticed her looking. He walked past without saying anything, but the air felt heavier for a moment. "I'll show you the spare room," he said. The room was small but comfortable. A narrow bed stood against one wall with a window that looked out across endless fields. Sunlight filled the space, warm and gentle. "You can stay as long as you need," Jace said. "No pressure." Elena nodded. She placed her case beside the bed but did not open it yet. Some habits were hard to break. She preferred to understand a place before unpacking herself into it. That evening passed quietly. Jace worked outside while Elena helped prepare food. She moved easily in the kitchen, measuring without thinking, adjusting flavors until the meal felt balanced. When Jace returned, dust covering his boots, he paused when he smelled the cooking. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "I wanted to," Elena replied. Myra sat between them during dinner, talking endlessly about small things, a bird she saw, a broken toy she wanted fixed, a story she imagined about space travelers. Every few minutes she glanced at Elena, as if checking that she was still there. Later, when night fell, the sky filled with stars brighter than any city world could show. Elena stood on the porch alone. The air felt clean. The quiet felt deep. It had been a long time since she stood somewhere without hearing engines or crowded voices. Jace stepped outside after putting Myra to bed. He leaned against the railing but did not speak at first. "You're good with her," he said finally. Elena watched the horizon. "She's easy to love." Jace's lips pressed together. "She misses her mother." Elena nodded. She did not ask questions that might open wounds too quickly. They stood together in silence, watching two moons rise slowly into the dark sky. The next morning began early. Jace handed her a cup of warm coffee. "We've got repairs today," he said. "Fence sensors are acting strange." Elena followed him outside. She watched how he moved through the ranch, steady, focused, respectful toward both animals and machines. When he opened a control panel, she stepped closer. The system inside was complex but familiar. "You recalibrated this recently," she said. Jace blinked. "Yeah, how'd you know?" "The wiring pattern," she answered simply. "It's newer." Jace studied her more carefully after that. Elena adjusted a setting and the panel lights changed color. The fence stabilized immediately. "You know tech?" he asked. "A little," she said. It was not a lie, but it was not the full truth either. Days began to pass quickly. Elena helped with chores, repaired small devices, and cooked meals. The house felt warmer. Even Jace seemed less tense, though he rarely admitted it. Myra followed Alina everywhere. One afternoon, the girl fell asleep against her shoulder while they sat on the porch. Alina froze at first, unsure what to do. Then she relaxed slowly, letting the child rest. Something inside her shifted, something she had not expected. Later, while cleaning storage shelves, Alina found an old music player. She turned it on and soft melodies filled the room. Myra danced clumsily, laughing. Jace watched from the doorway, silent. For the first time in a long while, the ranch sounded alive. But peace did not last forever. One evening, while checking the sky sensors, Jace noticed a flicker on the horizon. A drone, small, dark, and moving slowly. It hovered far away, almost invisible unless someone knew where to look. "That's not local," Jace muttered. Alina felt her stomach tighten. She forced herself to remain calm. "Maybe just a traveler," she suggested. Jace shook his head. "Travelers don't scan land grids like that." The drone disappeared after a moment, but the feeling it left behind stayed heavy. That night, Alina could not sleep easily. She opened her case for the first time. Inside lay carefully folded clothes and a small data chip hidden under the lining. She held it in her hand, staring at it. Memories pressed against her mind, laboratories, bright lights, voices arguing about control and power. She pushed the memories away quickly. She was not that person anymore. She had chosen a different path. The next day, Myra ran toward her again with open arms. "Mama!" the girl shouted happily. Alina hesitated only for a second before lifting her into a hug. Jace watched from across the yard. He said nothing, but his expression softened. Still, the drone returned 2 nights later. This time it stayed longer. Alina stood in the dark, watching its faint, blinking light. A quiet fear grew inside her. Someone might be looking for her. And if they found her here, the peaceful ranch and the small girl who trusted her completely might be caught in something dangerous. Alina closed her eyes briefly. She had run far to escape her past, but the past had a way of following. And deep down, she knew that her arrival at the wrong station might not have been an accident at all. The mornings at Jace's ranch had started to feel familiar. Alina woke early, before the sun rose fully over the red hills. The air felt cool at that hour, and the land stayed quiet except for the low hum of machines preparing for the day. She stood at the window of the spare room, watching the wide fields stretch into the distance. For a moment, everything looked peaceful, but peace now felt fragile. The drone had returned twice during the last 3 days. It stayed far away, almost careful not to be noticed. Still, Alina knew enough about surveillance to understand what it meant. Someone was searching. She closed her eyes briefly and forced herself to breathe slowly. Fear would not help. Planning would. Outside, Jace worked near the barn, adjusting a power cable. Myra followed him with a small toolbox, trying to help. Their quiet routine felt warm and steady, something Alina had not expected to miss so quickly. When she stepped outside, Myra ran toward her immediately. "You woke up," the girl said happily. Alina smiled softly. "I did." Myra grabbed her hand without hesitation. The simple trust in that small gesture made Alina's chest tighten. Jace watched them, his expression thoughtful. "You didn't sleep much," he said. Alina shrugged lightly. "Just thinking." Jace nodded once. He did not push for more. Later that morning, a dust trail appeared on the horizon. Jace noticed it first. His posture changed instantly, becoming more alert. "Visitors," he muttered. Alina felt tension move through her body. A transport vehicle approached slowly, its engine sound deeper than normal farm traffic. It stopped near the fence and 2 figures stepped out. They wore traveler coats, neutral colors, and friendly smiles, but something about their movements felt too precise. Alina's instincts sharpened immediately. Corporate agents often dressed like ordinary people. Jay stepped forward calmly, resting one hand near his belt, not threatening, just ready. "Morning," one visitor called. "We're traders passing through, looking to ask a few questions." Jace nodded politely. "Depends on the questions." The man laughed lightly, as if trying to appear relaxed. "We're searching for someone who may have come through this area, a woman traveling alone." Alina felt her heartbeat slow instead of speeding up, a sign she recognized. When danger came close, her mind became cold and clear. She stayed behind Jace, pretending to examine equipment. "What's she done?" Jace asked casually. "Oh, nothing wrong," the second visitor said quickly. "Just a business matter." Alina knew that tone, smooth, careful. "Not honest," Jace shrugged. "Lots of people pass through Dust Haven, hard to keep track." The visitors exchanged a quick glance. Their eyes moved briefly toward Alina, just long enough to confirm recognition. They knew. Alina lowered her gaze slightly, hiding her reaction. After a few more polite words, the visitors returned to their vehicle and drove away. Jace waited until the dust settled before turning to her. "They're not traitors," he said quietly. "No," Alina answered. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Jace spoke again. "You want to tell me what's going on?" Alina hesitated. She had spent years hiding her truth, but now hiding might put this family in danger. "I didn't come here just by accident," she said slowly. "I worked for a corporation before, one that builds systems to change environments, terraforming technology." Jace listened carefully. "They wanted control," she continued. "Not just helping planets grow, controlling weather, water, even food supply. I helped create part of that system." Jace frowned. "That sounds powerful." "It is," Alina said softly, "and dangerous if used wrong." She explained how she discovered their true plans. How she erased parts of her identity and signed up as a mail-order bride to disappear among ordinary settlers. "I thought I could start over," she finished. Jace absorbed this quietly. "And those people?" he asked. "They want me back, or what's inside my memory?" Myra ran across the yard, chasing a small mechanical bird, laughing loudly. Alina's voice dropped. "If they find me here, this place won't stay peaceful." Jace looked toward the horizon, then back at her. "You planning to leave?" The question felt heavier than expected. Alina did not answer immediately. "I don't want to bring danger to you or Myra," she said. Jace nodded slowly. "But running might not stop them." He walked toward the barn and returned with a handheld scanner. "I've lived here long enough to know when trouble is coming," he said. "If they're watching, we prepare." Alina felt surprise. "You're helping me?" He met her eyes. "You helped my kids smile again, that counts." Something warm and painful moved through her chest. Over the next hours, they worked together. Jace adjusted the ranch's old defense systems, simple things meant for wild storms or raiders. Alina upgraded signal filters, blocking long-range scans. Working side by side felt natural, like two people solving a shared problem rather than strangers forced together. As evening came, Myra sat between them during dinner. "Are the visitors coming back?" she asked suddenly. Jace exchanged a glance with Alina. "Maybe," he said gently. Myra frowned. "I don't like them." Alina reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "You're safe," she said softly. Later that night, Alina stood alone outside again. The stars felt closer somehow. Footsteps approached behind her. "You don't have to carry everything alone," Jace said quietly. She turned toward him. "I'm used to it." "Well," he replied, "you're not alone here." The words settled deeply inside her. For the first time, she felt something stronger than fear, the desire to protect this place. Suddenly, a distant engine sound echoed across the land. Both of them turned toward the horizon. Lights appeared, more than one vehicle this time. Alina's breath slowed. "They're coming back," she whispered. Jace's jaw tightened. "Then we stand ready." The ranch lights flickered as systems activated. Inside the house, Myra slept peacefully, unaware of the danger approaching. Alina looked at the land around her, the fields, the quiet house, the man who chose to help without asking for reward. She realized something important. This was no longer just a temporary stop. This had become her home, and she would not let it be taken away. The night felt heavier than usual. Wind moved slowly across the red plains of Solara Ridge, carrying dust that shimmered under the twin moons. The ranch lights glowed softly, but beyond the fence's darkness stretched endlessly. Alina stood beside Jace near the barn, watching distant headlights move closer. 3 vehicles, slow, careful, confident. "They're not hiding anymore," Jace said quietly. Alina nodded. Her heart felt steady, not fast. Fear had settled into focus. She had run for a long time, always looking over her shoulder. But tonight felt different. Tonight she would stop running. Inside the house, Myra slept peacefully. Alina had checked twice already. The little girl had curled up holding a small toy horse, completely unaware of the danger approaching. "We need to keep her safe," Alina whispered. Jace nodded. "Storm shelter under the barn, strong walls, signal shield." They moved quickly. Jace activated the ranch's security systems, old Western-style alarms mixed with modern technology. Fence lights turned blue. Sensors came alive, scanning the land. Alina opened a control panel and connected her tablet. Lines of code filled the screen. "I'll block their long-range scans," she said. "You can do that?" Jace asked. "Yes," she answered simply. Her fingers moved fast, adjusting frequencies and scrambling signals. Years of training returned without effort. She hated that part of her life, but tonight it would help protect the people she cared about. The vehicles stopped near the outer fence. Doors opened. 4 figures stepped out. They walked slowly, hands visible, pretending to appear peaceful. But Alina recognized the controlled way they moved, trained, precise. One of them raised a communication device. "Elena Ward," a calm voice called across the distance. "We know you're here. We're not here to cause trouble. We just want to talk." Jace looked at her. "Your choice." Alina inhaled deeply, then she stepped forward. "I'll talk," she said, "but they stay outside the fence." Jace nodded once. She walked toward the gate, stopping several steps away. The agent studied her carefully. "You've made this harder than necessary," the leader said gently. "Your work is important. Come back with us and everything will be simple." Alina shook her head. "You don't want me, you want what I know." The agent smiled slightly. "Your knowledge can change worlds." "That's exactly why I left," she replied, silence stretched. "We can offer you safety," the agent continued, "resources, a future." Alina glanced back at the ranch, at the warm lights shining through the windows. "I already have a future," she said softly. The agent's expression cooled. "You misunderstand your position. If you refuse, things may become complicated." Jace stepped forward beside her. He didn't speak, but his presence felt solid and steady. Alina felt strength grow inside her. "You're not taking me," she said firmly. The agents exchanged glances. One of them moved toward a device on his belt. Before he could activate it, Alina tapped a command on her tablet. The fence lights flashed bright white. A wave of interference spread outward, disrupting their equipment. Their devices flickered and shut down. Jace grinned slightly. "Nice trick." Alina didn't smile. "It won't hold forever." The agent stepped back, surprised but not defeated. "This is unnecessary," the leader said. "You cannot hide forever." "I'm not hiding," Alina replied calmly. "I'm choosing." The standoff continued for several tense minutes. Finally, the agents returned to their vehicles. "We will leave for now," the leader said, "but this is not over." The engines started. Dust rose as they drove away into the dark. Alina's shoulders dropped slightly. Jace watched the horizon until the lights disappeared completely. "Think they'll come back?" he asked. "Maybe," she said honestly, "but now they know I won't go with them easily." They walked back toward the house together. Inside, everything felt warm and quiet again. Myra still slept peacefully. Alina sat beside her bed for a long moment, watching her breathe slowly. A deep emotion filled her chest, something like relief mixed with love. She brushed a strand of hair from the child's face. "I'm here," she whispered softly. The next morning arrived bright and calm, as if the night's tension had never existed. Life at the ranch continued. Jace repaired fences. Alina adjusted systems to strengthen protection. Myra followed them both, laughing and asking endless questions. Days passed without new visitors. Then one afternoon, a message arrived from the station. The next passenger train would come in 2 days. Alina stared at the notification for a long time. Her original journey could continue. The life she planned before all of this waited somewhere far away. Jace didn't ask questions immediately. He gave her space. That evening they sat on the porch together, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and gold. "So," Jace said gently, "your train is coming." "Yes." Silence followed. "You don't owe us anything," he added. "You were only passing through." Alina looked at the wide fields, then at the house behind her. She remembered arriving at the wrong station, lost, unsure, alone. Now she felt none of those things. "I thought my life was already decided," she said quietly. "Contracts, plans, destinations chosen by others." Jace nodded slowly. "But this place," she continued, "this feels real." Myra ran toward them suddenly and climbed onto the bench between them. "I drew something," she said proudly, holding up a paper. It showed 3 figures standing together under 2 moons. "Mama, look!" Alina froze for a moment. Then she smiled gently. "It's beautiful," she said. The word mama no longer felt strange. It felt warm, natural. The train arrived 2 days later. Alina stood on the platform again, holding her case. Jace and Myra waited beside her. The doors opened. Passengers stepped on and off. This time, Alina did not feel lost. She looked at the train, then back at the little girl holding her hand tightly. "You don't have to decide now," Jace said quietly. Alina nodded. She watched the train for a long moment, then she stepped back from the platform. "I'm staying," she said simply. Myra hugged her instantly, laughing. Jace's eyes softened, relief clear even though he tried to hide it. The train departed without her. As the sound faded into the distance, Alina felt something settle deep inside her. The wrong station had given her the right life. Together they returned to the ranch, a place where old Western spirit met new beginnings, where family was chosen, and where a lost traveler finally found home. And when Myra called her mama again, Alina answered without hesitation.